If I could really do that, I might not have 3 divorces.
First of all, nice meeting you guys. I love the film. And one of the things I did notice about both of your characters is that they're great people readers. And I think that that's a skill that you also kind of use for acting. Yeah. So I was wondering a little bit like, what skills would you like to learn from your characters to have it for life or even for your jobs?
Ooh.
I would love to have Sharon's ability to read people. I don't really have that. I pretend that I do, but
She
I don't.
does. She did it the other day on the radio station interview, and it was intense,
Well,
revealing for the poor man who you pulled apart.
if I could really do that, I might not have 3 divorces under my belt.
He could read.
I'm not a
You
good
just saw the
people
good in them.
Okay, yeah. See what a positive guy he is. That's a good spin.
My character is a thief, a criminal. What do I want to learn from him? He's got some pretty cool driving skills. I mean, I did some of the driving, but he's a level above me in the fictional sense. What else would I learn from him? I don't know. He's a pretty lonely kind of character.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's mysterious.
I'd like to hang out with him and give him a cuddle.
Well, I was going to say he's a criminal with a good heart.
He's got a good heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that, Mike has a lot of skills. He's very smart in a lot of things, but he's terrible at dating. And I think one of the most awkward scenes from the film were the scenes that he was trying to flirt or work, kind of being in that situation. But it must be so fun to play that and create that as an atmosphere. So I wanted to know from you, how was it to create that awkward dynamic?
It was really fun. I think on a set you're constantly trying to hide all your insecurities and act like you're confident. I think most people have a degree of sort of imposter syndrome or just that fear and nervousness about, am I going to do this right? Or should someone else be doing it? And all those questions. And so to then sort of exploit that in a sense and be like, oh no, I'm supposed to be awkward and uncomfortable was kind of nice. But there was a fantastic script that had, in a very simple, example, it didn't over-explain the awkwardness. It was about what we didn't say and the moments in between and the awkward silences and so on. And
I think that's the part that made his character so lovable. You see this big, gorgeous, handsome guy, and he's a bit awkward and doesn't know what to say. I think that's just added to his appeal, actually.
Yeah. Now, Sharon has a fantastic scene that I love when she goes into the room with the younger professional, and she just tell things as it is.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important to have women that do that in our careers. I was wondering, what were advices that you may have gotten or that you didn't get and you kind of wish that you gotten when you were early in your career? And what are things that you pay forward to young women that are in the industry?
I don't quite have the gumption of Sharon. I'm not so sure. I have done that a few times, what Sharon did. But that's not, what I'd go through life doing. But I think I would tell young women to do something I did early on. I really have always known that no is a full sentence, period. I've been able to say no, and I've avoided some really terrible situations in the business, where had I turned right instead of left, I could have been on a very different journey. So I think being in touch with my intuition and my gut and being able to say no and not being afraid to say no has served me really.
That particular scene and that performance and that speech that Halle gives in that moment at the premiere the other night got a full standing ovation. And from men and women, people wanted to hear it. People needed that to be said.
Yeah.
Oh, we were all cheering for Sharon.
Yes.
We were hoping she would have the moment.
Yes.
Now, guys, just because we don't have a lot of time, I wanted to ask you a little, a fun type of question. If there were the perfect crime and you had to run away somewhere, where would be your refugee place?
Oh, after we did the crime?
Yeah, after you did the crime,
After we did the crime.
you got out for free. So where would you hide?
Fiji.
Fiji. Oh, I'm close. I would go to Bora Bora. That's my happy place. You can be off the grid there. Nobody would find you, really. Life is slow. And
Good surf. Beautiful people.
I could dive.
Yeah, good surf.
Good food.
Good food. Fishing, surfing,
Yeah.
Now,
sunbaking.
and out of,
What are we doing
out of
here?
the cast, who do you think would be the least likely to get away with a perfect crime?
Mark.
I think Mark, because he's too honest. He'd
Yeah.
feel guilty the moment he picked up the
Yeah.
the item he was trying to steal and go, I'm sorry, man. I'll just go
Yeah.
back. And
Mark.
And who would be the most likely to find out who did the crime?
Ooh, I'll hand that
Well,
to you.
Mark too. I think Mark, he's pretty inquisitive, and I think he'd figure it out too.
Yeah, definitely.
Turn every stone. He'd figure it out.
Both your attention to detail is pretty.
He'd figure it out.
And since we are talking about perfect crimes, did you guys steal anything from the set or costumes?
No, I wanted the car. The steering wheel was on the wrong side for me if I took it back to Australia.
And that might be hard to steal.
And it was hard to steal.
They might miss a car.
They might notice it, yeah. So
I didn't steal. What did I didn't want to steal. I didn't steal. I mean, I don't know. There was nothing I even wanted to steal, really. No. Not this time.
Now, LA was such a character in the film as well. How important was it to be part of a film that is an homage to LA in a way after the fires?
Oh, that was great because the fires were tragic. And so it was really nice. I lived there now for almost 30 years. And just to see the city photographed in such a beautiful way, the beautiful parts of the city and then the hard parts of the city to see, that was the beautiful thing about Bart. He captured all of that. So as he says, it was a love letter to our city, and to see it at night when it was twinkly and
yeah, it's such a character itself, LA. And nothing gets shot there anymore. No. I remember sort of debating where I was going to live, and all my auditions would be in LA, and then once I started working, every job took me elsewhere. So it was I had a beautiful nostalgia going back there and shooting there, because it was like, these are the heist movies that I used to watch, or films that shot in LA. It had such a particular aesthetic, and Bart certainly shot it in such a wonderful way that brings back a lot of the nostalgia and love for those films of the 80s, 90s, early 2000s.
And the 101 freeway.
And the 101 freeway.
You get to see it in all its glory.
Well, it was great to see you guys in the film in LA as well. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
You're about to break every rule you've ever lived by. What makes this job different?
There comes a moment when you realize you don't have as much time as you thought you had.
Good job taking over.
Thank you.
Well done.
I do what I can. Thank you so much. Thank you.